Thanks, Ashley. Not to scare everybody, because you're looking at a PowerPoint. I'm not going to waste your time with a PowerPoint. I'm just going to go through a few slides here about the agenda today, what we're going to cover. So without further ado, first thing I just want to remind everybody, you probably know this already, but this came out last year, specialized tool sets with AutoCAD. So as long as you're on subscription and you own AutoCAD, you own all of these other tool sets. So if, electrical is your specialty, map 3D is your specialty, plant 3D, take a serious look at diving into this product, to these different products, to make your life easier and more efficient. As far as new features inside of AutoCAD 2020, they've made enhancements, or it's actually brand new. It would be the blocks palette. Multiple ways we can insert blocks now. They've added a measuring tool. It's very similar to quick dimensioning, but you're actually measuring instead of dimensioning, but you run your crosshairs, and you'll see all this when I demonstrate the software. You'll see all this with a quick measure as far as running your crosshairs through a drawing and being able to pick up distances and angles and other things. The DWG Compare, which was introduced last year, has been enhanced. We will show you that. The Purge Command, finally, after all these years, they've updated the utility itself. The dialog box has been greatly enhanced, and they've added a couple of new features when you're looking for blocks that are inside of a drawing. They're used, but maybe you can't find them. You're going to see general performance improvements, and they also have updated and modernized the background, your coloring scheme. As far as the blocks palette is concerned, as you can see in this slide on the right-hand side, they're giving us more tools to insert blocks. We have multiple ways already. The good old-fashioned insert command, the gallery that sits on the insert command. You have Design Center, you have other tool palettes. This is given us different and more ways to insert blocks. And inside of this palette, you have three tabs: the current drawing, which is very similar to your gallery in the insert command, but we also have a recent tab, and we have other drawings. You're going to see during the demonstration anything that you've inserted recently or even created a block, it'll end up on the recent tab. Other drawings is just another way to browse to the block that you want to insert into your current drawing. Quick measure tool, this quickly displays all nearby measurements in a drawing. And all you have to do is hover over, hover in between, hover near any objects. You're going to see how it will flash on your crosshairs what those different distances are. Great tool, in my opinion. Again, it's about time, and it just allows you to quickly pick up distances instead of having to go to the straight up distance command and picking two endpoints or a midpoint on one and an endpoint or another. All you're going to do is flash your crosshairs around the screen, and anywhere it goes, it will pick up those distances. I kind of compared a little bit to the hatch command. You put your crosshairs inside of a boundary, it's going to find it. This is the same way. You put your crosshairs between 2 points, and it will figure out what the distance is and put it on display for you. The DWG Compare, which I thought was a great tool that they added last year. This has been enhanced. It's more user-friendly, as you can see on the slide here. It has the dialog box. It doesn't give us a contextual tab, but it gives us a little toolbar to work with. But now we can compare two versions of a drawing without leaving the current drawing. You're going to see how to do that in the demonstration. We can also import desired changes into the current drawing in real time. We can also toggle back and forth between the compare. It'll keep the compare up, but maybe you want to temporarily turn it down, turn it off, if you will. So like I said, when you're trying to compare drawings, and usually you would do this with different rev levels, let's say, in base AutoCAD, fantastic tool so you can visualize and see what the differences are between two drawings. The Purge redesign. Like I said earlier, it's about time. We can remove multiple unneeded objects at once, and we could always do that, as we know, but it makes it a lot easier from a selection standpoint. You can get a preview of what you're looking for. When you have the non-purgeable items, sometimes they can be difficult to see where they are in the drawing. We have a tool now where you can actually select the objects and make it easier to zoom and pan around the objects that you're looking for. Performance improvements. You know, when you save a drawing, it's 50% faster. If you move, you know, large amounts of geometry, if you copy large amounts of geometry, you're going to see the speed increase between that. If you have a solid state drive, if you don't, it might be a good time to ask management for one as far as your computer is concerned, because it cuts the install time by half. So you're going to see overall performance improvements when you're running the software. And then the new dark theme, the user interface elements have been updated. They seem to do this every release. It is a good thing. But we have sharper icons to view. There's contrast improvements. And then what they call a modern blue dark theme. And typically when I see something like this as an improvement, I don't get real excited, to be honest with you. But actually using the software in 2020, the icons are much sharper to look at, and I like the new colors that they've implemented. So without further ado, let's go into the software. So I've got a couple of drawings open here just to demonstrate. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is the blocks palette. First of all, when you go to the Insert tab and you go to the Insert Command, this is not changed. This is your gallery of all the blocks that live inside my current drawing, my active drawing. But what you are going to see that's new is down here. We've got recent blocks and we've got blocks from other drawings. If I select recent blocks, notice that it opens up this block palette, as you can see right here. And it went immediately to the recent tab. This is basically just a way to open up that palette. If I go back and select blocks from other drawings, it does the same thing. It just takes me to the other drawings tab. And if you just want to turn it on, if I'm on the View tab for whatever reason and I want to open up the blocks palette, you know, just like it's done in the past, it will list all your palettes on the palette tab right here, and I can just go to blocks. So, current drawing, it's no different than going to the Insert Command and viewing all the blocks that are in the drawing. And this works no different as far as inserting them. If I want to insert this 4-seat sofa right here, I can just do a single left click on it, not holding my mouse button down or anything, drop it into my drawing. You're going to notice something different right away though. Look what it's doing. It's defaulting to inserting more than one block at a time. The reason for that is, if I hit escape to get out of this, is down under your insertion options of the palette, you have repeat placement. If I turn that off, it'll work like it traditionally does, in the sense that drop it in, then it immediately exits me out of the command. So if you have more than one to place down, great tool there. All your other features that you're used to with the insert command are included here. As you can see, you got the scale, the rotation, you just saw the repeat placement, which is new, and then we could always explode it after we insert it. So just as an example, let's say I want to scale this by 2, and I'll keep the Y value the same. Rotation, let's say I want to change this to 90, and I'll insert that same sofa, and as you can see, it's rotated, it's twice the size, and I can drop it into my drawing as normal. That's not new to anybody, I realize that. It's just what's new is that it's part of the palette itself. You could always left click and hold, drag it into the drawing as well. Notice that it didn't look at any of the current insertion options down there. That will always default. That's a left click and hold on that. If I double click on it, now it'll look at all the defaults that I have as far as the scale and the rotation and anything else. Now, if I go to this recent tab, this will list all your recently inserted blocks, and it doesn't matter if it's in this drawing or if it came from another drawing. So as an example, I've got a completely different drawing that I'm looking at over here. And let's just say, for the heck of it, I'm in this drawing and the block name is AN16DN0AB. And let's say I want to write this block out to a folder. Go to my write block command, go to my source, and select it from the list. Just like always, not doing anything different here as far as the write block command is concerned. I'm going to let it default to this folder, and I'll pick OK. Now, as you can see, under recent is that block that I just wrote out to a folder. If I go to another drawing, that's still going to be there. If I were to create a new drawing, that's still going to be there. So if I close the software down and open it up, it's still going to be there. Now, if you want, because some people might get picky about, I don't want to, see the last 100 blocks that I inserted, you can always right click on one of these and remove them from the list as well. So like I said, it doesn't matter whether you create a block, whether you insert a block, that will be listed under the recent tab. If I go to other drawings, this is more of the traditional sense where you want to insert a block from another drawing. So if I go to my insert command, I should point that out a little bit better. The browse is right up here at the top of the palette. And let's say I want to browse to here, and I want to insert this particular one. So I'll pick open. Now notice that it not only pulled this up, but anything that's inside of it. And that's where you got to be careful sometimes. So at this point, I want to insert this plant into this electrical cabinet. Not that you would ever do that. I could do that. If I go back to the Villa project, it's still listed under the current drawing. And like I said, where you want to be a little bit careful is in the sense that if you insert a whole drawing, so let me go back to where I have the whole drawing. or a whole drawing, I should say. And just as an example, I'll pick this power drawing, or even the cabinet that I have open right now. I'll select open. So it will carry not only the drawing that I opened, but every single block that's inside that drawing. Sometimes that's a good thing. Other times, obviously, you want to be a little bit careful with that. But when you go to open, notice that it opened it inside of the palette. I'm not automatically inserting that. If I want to insert it, then I would have to pick it again, or obviously one of the individual ones that came with it. Over here, as far as the palette is concerned, you have all the standard options of, large icons, medium, small. You could list them as details or a list of it, whatever your personal preference is. There is no right or wrong there. And this is a palette. As far as AutoCAD is concerned, I can move this around. I could right click, uncheck allow docking, maybe auto hide this, move it over here. So if I'm going to insert a lot of blocks or use that, just like any other palette, you can do anything you want as far as how it appears in your user interface. And when you're done, we can close it out. That's our block palette. Now I'm going to go back to the Home tab, zoom in a little closer to this area, let's say. And on my Utilities panel, under the Measure Flyout or pull-down menu, we've had this for years, but what we haven't had, which is brand new, is this Quick Command. And it will display the measurements as I drag my cursor around the drawing. So if I pick Quick right now, look what's going on here. I put my crosshairs right here. I can see distances 19.9, 10.9 inside of that room. But look at my vertical crosshairs. It's looking at the one directly above that as well, the 6 feet. The one on the left horizontally on my crosshairs, it's measuring that specific distance. That's why I kind of compare it a little bit to the hatch command in the sense that wherever your crosshairs go, it will find those distances, just like it finds a boundary when you want to lay down a hatch. If I move it over to here, you can see the same thing going on. If I zoom in, really close around a particular object, let's say, it's also going to give you the angle that you're looking for. So look at all the distances that I'm picking up, distances and angles, just by putting my crosshair in this particular area. And it's not a dimension. It comes from the family up here of measuring tools. So it's just a quick inquire of, hey, what's the distance from point A to B? What are those angles? That's the tool that it's going to give you. I hit escape and I exit out of the command. Now the next one we're going to talk about is the DWG compare. And there's 2 areas where you can access this. It's AutoCAD, right? Multiple ways that you can access a command. So one example would be if I go to the View tab, I've got the DWG compare right here. If I go to the Collaborate tab, I've got the DWG compare here as well. So when I select it, what drawing do I want to compare this to? Well, the particular drawing I have open right now is the Rev 1 drawing. Well, let's say I want to compare it to the original one. So I select it, pick open, and just like it did before, nothing brand new here, right? It puts a nice view around anything that's different between the two drawings. And if I go to the settings here, this is where I can really see what the differences are. So if I see something in red, it's not in the current drawing. If I see something in green, it's only in the current drawing. No differences. And we could do that before as far as changing the colors. You know, if you wanted to make it something different. Now, as you can see, the color changed right there. If I go back and I change it back to red, this has just been enhanced from where we could make these changes before, as you can see. If I toggle this, notice it turns everything in red off. I toggle it again, and the same thing with what's in the current drawing. And as far as your Rev Cloud is concerned, once again, you could change the color for that. And you can also change the display, maybe from a rectangle to a polygon. And as you can see here, I can watch how my clouds physically change in size when I make that bigger. Those are all just personal preferences. And if you wanted to leave this on, I could pin it so it stays on. Now this is kind of cool, where I can just shut it on or off as far as the compare is concerned. It's off. I'm still in compare mode, because if I really wanted to exit out of it, I would pick right here to exit the compare. If you're wondering what order it was that you made some changes, we have the previous and the next buttons right here, and it zooms in directly to your changes. So let's say I pick this one. Remember, I just inserted those sofas. I'll pick it again. You didn't see me make this change. I did this before by changing a door. And this will just toggle through. I won't make you dizzy here. This will just toggle through whatever your changes are. I can also import objects from the compared drawing. So if I select here, and it tells me to select objects at this point, I could pick this one, right click or hit enter to continue. Now I've imported those, so that's why I went to green there. I could also export a snapshot. What this will do is this will combine the two drawings into a new comparison snapshot drawing. So if I pick continue right here, you know, I could give it any name I want, obviously, store it anywhere I want, obviously, but you can see by the name, I'm going to compare one drawing to another. I'll pick save, and it immediately brings it up right here with the different comparisons. Couldn't do that before. I'm just going to close that down. And then if you ultimately want to exit the compare command, you just exit it right here. Good tool when they added it last year. Now they've enhanced it to make it even better. Then we have the Purge redesign. On my Manage tab, I'm used to typing Purge. You can still type it all day long. But on the cleanup panel over here, we have Purge. As soon as I pick it, you're going to see big differences right away. And in fact, to make it a little bit easier, let me go back to the cabinet drawing. And if I select Purge, right now it's on the Purged Items tab. So just like anything else, you can see each category, or just like before, I should say, you can see each category of what it is you want to purge. And if I expand the blocks, as you can see, you got a lot of unused blocks in there. So I'll select it here. It'll put a check mark next to every single one. And I think this just makes it a little bit less confusing. Yeah, we could do the same thing, going back to when AutoCAD came out, but I think it just makes it a little bit easier as far as what you're actually purging, what you do want to purge, what you don't want to purge. If I pick purge checked items, now they're all gone out of there. And I can move on to something else if I wanted to. Now, if I go to find non-purgeable items, I really like this feature. It will list all the blocks that you're using. Nothing big going on there. But as I go through each one, I'm going to get a preview of each one, as you can see. Now, these are all blocks that are being used in this drawing. Now, down here in the details area, you can see the name of the block, just like you can over here. You can see the size of the individual file, and then how many times it's being used. Now, in this case, it's like, okay, that's great, but where is it being used? And that's where we have down here these block insertions. There's 2 of them on this particular layer. If I pick search right now, or it's select objects, not search, and as soon as I pick it, you can see that it will highlight and zoom in around that area. How many times have you been looking for a block in a drawing? You know it's in there. Maybe you don't know the name of it. You're having trouble finding it. To me, fantastic tool on how to go about that. And that's all it is. It's select objects. With those selected, I could have copied it, could have moved it, could have done any of that stuff. But the main point is it allows you to find usable blocks. I mean, obviously you're using them, but for whatever reason, you're just having trouble finding them inside of the drawing. So, in a nutshell, they've just greatly enhanced the usability of the purge command itself. You can still confirm after each one is purged. You can purge nested items, as you can see from here. And then sometimes unnamed objects you can get rid of as well. So purge command, been out there a long time. They've made great enhancements to it. Performance improvements. Like I said, let me go back to this drawing. It's well advertised. If you have a solid state drive, 50% install faster. I can attest to that. I have a solid state drive, have for a couple years now. The install time is much faster. Where other areas where you will see a speed difference is, and they've worked on improving this over several releases. But let's say, you have a lot of geometry that you want to copy or you want to move. This isn't a whole lot. I'm sure all you architectural people out there know what a lot of geometry is inside of a drawing. And when you go to copy it or move it, your crosshairs might be dragging. It might be trying to, focus in on the objects that you're copying or moving. The preview wouldn't come out correct, whatever. Now I can see all the objects. That's a lot of geometry. And even when I stay in the copy command, as you can see, it doesn't affect it. Speed-wise, 4 releases ago, that could have been a struggle, depending with how much geometry that you do have in there. And then even a simple save. Big drawings, you hit that save button up there. Depending on your computer, sometimes that might take a little while. I hit save here, and it's instant. So the bigger the drawings, obviously, that's where you're going to see the speed or the performance improvements the most. And then the last one I'm going to talk about is the new dark theme. And as you can see, probably right now, you should be able to see, the user interface color-wise does look different. The icons look a little bit different. When I say different, they're sharper. They're more easily readable. As far as every single icon that you can see up here, it's just better contrast. Now, we've always been able to do this, but I'm surprised at the number of people that don't know how to change either your background color or all of your ribbons. If you want to do that, and this is just it's a personal preference, right? If I right-click anywhere in my drawing and I go to options, like I said, apologize for people that do this all the time and know about it. But as an example, under window elements, I'm going to pick light. If I'm presenting on an overhead, sometimes the light panels, the ribbons, can be a little bit easier to see. Personal preference, if I'm working on my computer, I leave it as dark because I think it's even sharper with it on the dark panels. Those only affect my ribbon. Even the background color is a very dark blue. It might look black right now, but it's a real sharp blue. And like I said before, for those that don't know this, if you want to change your color background, you can make it any color that you want. And here goes to true color. I could go to index color. The only thing that we always recommend here is no matter what color that you choose, make sure it's a very dark shade of the color that you want to choose or a very light shade. And that's for obvious reasons, because you're going to utilize different colors and layers. So if my favorite color is green and I decided to have a green background, it's going to be very difficult to see any of those objects that are in green. So whatever you do, just make your favorite color a very dark shade or a very light shade. But even I noticed the enhancement, because I'm old, I still like to type some commands. So as I type a command like purge, even here on the autocomplete menu, it's crisper, it's easier to see. If I put my cursor right down at the command line and type in a command, it's the same thing. So it doesn't seem like much, but I think you'll notice as you're working in a drawing for multiple hours, it's nice to have the user interface with these sharper icons and colors in the background. Okay, those are your enhancements / additions for AutoCAD 2020. I'll hand it back to Ashley for questions or whatever else.
Okay, well, thanks, Greg. Yeah, I guess I will open it up to Dan or Clayton to let us know if there are any questions that Greg needs to cover in particular.
Yeah, this is Dan. It looks like we did got an answer for most of these. There might be one more. Looking through them now. It has to do with blocks. It was, can you demonstrate the same command? I'm not sure which command, we might have missed that, but it has to do with if there are if the block is in two different locations in the drawing. Let me see. We got some more questions coming in, so let those filter in, and we'll address them.
Okay.
Let's see here. Greg, are you seeing the questions panel?
No. Let me see if I can manipulate this. Hold on a second. Okay, now I got it. Let's see. Wow, lots of questions. Do any of these changes apply to AutoCAD LT? I'd have to double check on that, but I believe everything that I've shown you here is the same in light. Where is the navigator icon? I personally turn that off because electrical is my background. I work on 2D drawings, but that can easily be turned back on by going to your 3D modeling tab up here. And turning it back on. When he showed how to locate a block on the purge segment.
That was related to the earlier question about if that block is in two different locations in the drawing.
Like these two were?
Yeah, I believe so. Let's see.
So if I go, let me go back to the palette. Or no, you're talking the purge command, probably, right?
Correct.
So if I purge and I want to find where it's used multiple times, as you can see here, this is being used twice. If I hit search, I keep saying search, my bad. It's select objects. It will allow you to select objects. I view it as I found the blocks in the drawing. So if I had this 100 times, it's kind of like the quick select command, right?
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Yeah.
It will search out every single one. It's not going to do anything else besides select those objects until you tell it to do something else.
Nice. Okay.
Answer the question. Is the block palette 2018? No, it is not. This is brand new to 2020. And how do you get at it? Multiple ways you can get at it. I like to, on the block panel, like you're used to right now, if you pick either recent blocks or blocks from other drawings, it will bring up the palette. Or on the View tab, just like it lists all the other palettes, this is just a new one. You can access it from here as well. Okay, what else? When you copy an object from another drawing while using compare as you did with the table, does it overwrite the object in the current drawing or duplicate the object? When you copy an object. Oh, when I use the import, you mean? It will duplicate it, not going to overwrite it. Block he located the two, which were right next to each other, which prompted my original question, see how to locate the same block to use it in different areas. Okay, let me go back to here, which is a much larger drawing. And if I do go to purge, blocks, trying to think of a good one here. Okay, here's one where it's being used. Well, a lot of them are next to each other. Well, I'll do it anyway. You notice down here as well, I'm glad you asked that question. I got 4 of them that are on layer 0 and two are on this layer. That's probably not a good thing, right? So it will list all of those from here. I could go to my home tab and easily move them to whatever layer they should be on.
Wow, yeah, that's pretty nice.
Yeah. Let's see, what's this? A-point. A-plant. See, here's one that's being utilized 15 times. And as you can see, just like with the quick select command, it will show where it's being used all over the drawing. Here it is over here. Here it is over here. Wherever they are, it will find them, just like the quick select. Oh, at the beginning of the presentation, when you showed what was included in our AutoCAD description, the items that are included. Webinars such as this on how to use those additional items. Absolutely. Well, we do offer webinars on all. Oh, looks like somebody answered that, so I won't bother. I was going to say, call your account rep if you want more details for a demo.
We did have a question about the quick dimension or a quick measure tool, and it had to do with, you know, let's say you're measuring your kitchen and you want to disregard some of the furniture. Without freezing or turning the layer off, I couldn't find a way to do that. Yeah,
I was just going to say, great question. I don't know of a way to do with it right now, but you know, none of us have, you know, extensively used 2020 yet.
Right.
So between all of us at Hagerman SEs, we'll probably have that question down pat soon after we use it. But we can definitely get back to you on that one. Okay. I think that's it, right? A lot of good questions.
Yes, that's all I see coming in at this moment in time. So we will go ahead and wrap up for the day. If you think of additional questions later, you can simply reply to the confirmation or reminder email you receive from GoToWebinar, and we can get those to Greg or your sales rep to get those answered for you. Once again, if you could take a few moments to fill out the short survey, we would appreciate it. It will just pop up as we close down the session today. Thanks, Greg, for the presentation. Thanks, everyone, for attending, and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Take it easy.